Elixirs are changing from how we know them. How, you might ask? Well, there's something happening to all sorts of elixirs and foods where it comes into details. That will change in 3.0 and it won't be like how you're used to, and you might have to change up some of the ways you play. Hello everybody, my name is Kiahonfire and welcome to a video on Conan Exiles. Today we're going over elixirs because there has been a bit of a change here, and you will notice it if you're used to doing this in the normal game. So when it comes to like foods and elixirs and stuff like that, just normal, you know, these great stuff. You remember before you were able to have several on at a time. You could have like loads of buffs going, you could be really strong, and it would be happy days, you wouldn't have no problem, right? Let's say I was like, oh, the elixir of numbing, I'll use that. Oh yeah, you'll probably notice a few differences in here. With the enduring one, you can see that gives you more armor, and the elixir of sight, which gives you concussive damage. Those are to replace the survival and the accuracy ones. But yeah, let's say I wanted some carrying capacity, some extra there. Yep, I put that on, lovely jubbly. It shows me in the side, carry weight. I have a better percentage now, but hey, what if I want to carry stuff and beat people up at the same time? Well, I'll take one of those, but you're going to notice something. It doesn't stack. None of them stack anymore, so now I only have the strength one activated. You can see it does not stack. So if you're going to go ahead and be like before and be like, hey, I want to stack all these elixirs and, you know, have the same thing as before and it'd be happy days, well, it just won't do that anymore. It's going to cancel each other out. However, there is one type of stacking I'm pretty sure you can still do, and it's having an elixir buff and one food buff you can have at a time. So if I was to add this on, you can see I can have a food and I can have an elixir buff. So this is how it's changed. You're going to have to use food and elixir if you want two different things. In this case, the brew I've taken is giving me extra armor, and so is the food. So that gives me 100 extra armor. So you can see the Sumerian Feast plus 50 armor. And then the potion I took, which I believe, not that one, I believe it's this one, has given me another plus 50, so there you go. So yeah, I can take one food, one elixir. I can't take multiple food, and I cannot take multiple elixir. They do not stack, and this is the same with potions and stuff as well. It will not stack, so that's how it's going to go now. No more stacking elixirs and buffs. One at a time, so you can essentially, as long as there's a food type and an elixir type, you can have two buffs at the same time, but you definitely cannot have multiple elixirs on or multiple food buff items on. So just bear that in mind before you start wasting elixirs and stuff like that, being like, oh, I'll just shove several of them on at once, it will be fine. No, it's not going to be fine in 3.0. That is not an option anymore. You have to choose which ones you want and be a bit more careful about picking and choosing the elixirs you now want to use in coherence with, you know, the food that you want to use. So it's going to be important to use food buffs now and elixir buffs at the same time if you want to buff yourself that way. And to be honest, some of the buffs out there are absolutely worth doing. I mean, the Sumerian Feast plus 50 armor. Plus 50 armor is no joke. Sometimes that's the entire armor of a set of light gear. And if you're wearing light gear, you might really want to consider having the armor buffing items, because having light gear and buffing your armor is going to give you the category of light gear being able to move around as snappy and as good. But you're going to have way more armor than it would be with just wearing the regular light gear. So it would be worth having this kind of food. And this kind of, you know, elixir as well is going to help you out a lot when it comes to making up for, you know, the extra protection. So we have the elixir of enduring plus 50 armor, that's a thing. The vehemence is still the same with those buffs. Elixir of freedom is a little bit different, you know, plus 21 stamina. So that means when I add it to myself when I eat it, it gives me more of a stamina bar. The elixir of grace gives me a better agility weapon damage bonus. So if you were to go in your stats, you can see you have all these different damage types now. Some being strength, agility from items, or bonus concussion damage. There's also the elixir of might, which is a strength one, strength weapon damage, same thing as the grace one we talked about. And then the numbing one gives you plus 45 carrying capacity. Does what it says on the tin, you have a better carrying capacity now. The Elixir of Sight, of course that's different, it's going to give you a concussive damage bonus, so 30% in there. If you don't know what that really does for you, it's kind of like having some extra points in authority. So you can see in here, it's going to make you knock things out a bit easier now having that in. And then there is one for Vigor, so you'll have plus 60 health. That will pretty much just increase your health bar. So yeah, those are some changes for 3.0. Can be a little bit jarring, is a bit different. No more stacking to be done. To be honest, it makes a little bit more sense having it as like the food buffs and the elixir buffs. I mean, having all of those buffs all together were pretty insane. And I can imagine with the way they've reworked attributes and everything, it could be quite a strong build being able to use all those elixirs. So I kind of get how they've done this, and I know they're trying to make it more so people have more specific builds and stuff instead of having like jack of all trade builds. They want it more specific, it seems, with this 3.0 update they're doing. They want to make it more, you know, streamlined. I don't know what they want to do. But basically, they want to create more interesting builds, I suppose, is the thing with this one. So, yep, that is a change right there. And that is what you're going to have to get used to when it comes to 3.0 and using elixirs. So I highly recommend, if you do have, you know, a bunch on you and stuff, yeah, just save them up or whatever, or you can use them now or whatever, and then when the update comes, remember not to use them all together and use one at a time, and then one buffing food at a time, and then there'll be happy days and you won't have any waste or anything like that. Or just remember to just double check yourself when you're taking food or potion buffs, that they're not the same and they're not going to stack over and stuff like that. So yeah, just make sure that's a thing. And yeah, that is the elixir changes and the food changes to 3.0. I'll be doing another video looking at foods a little bit more specifically. But anyway, thank you for watching. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!